hello.
What?
What do you mean, what? I just wanted to say hello to everyone.
I see.
I haven't gotten to bring that voice out for anything in a while, and now I don't know. Sometimes I just like to make mouth sounds, okay? It makes me happy. I woke up slowly to the sounds of laughter and music. I groaned. Laughter? Music?
Bah humbug.
Imagine her giving the fucking a catchy speech for P5. Friends? I'm a celebrity! My head hurt. My nose was stuffed, and I still felt awfully clammy. I immediately tried to stand, but I could feel someone holding my shoulder down. I sat up in bed with a start, terrified.
Easy. One step at a time,
Help me. Another fainting spell.
Indeed.
I must have looked a right fool.
Well,
Details of the situation reemerged in my mind slowly. The fire! Everyone is safe?
yes, thank God.
Oh, okay. I'm so worried I just couldn't stand idly by, and
You were very brave.
I don't know about brave.
Or at least your sentiment was brave.
Okay.
I'm not sure what you planned to do without a bucket of water or anything to help with the fire, but dashing in was admirable.
I mean, at least she has that going for her, right? In that scene. Like, no matter what else they say about Hedwig, you were fucking naked? She was naked, but also clearly dashing in trying to save someone. Right? So, I think thankfully for her that'll take a little bit of the sting off.
Especially in that state of undress.
Oh, could we not? State of... Oh God. Not Ohio. I was mortified. Genuinely, I am not going mad. My clothes just got soaked through and I just couldn't bear squelching around for the whole walk home.
You don't need to justify anything to me.
I appreciate that, but surely everyone thinks I am either mad or a whore.
Well, everyone is concerned, I won't deny that. But it's only because they care.
She bent down and gave me a kiss on the forehead. Oh, I tensed up involuntarily.
You ought to relax. Everybody here has had an odd moment or two. I think I've told you before.
Yes, but surely my moments are the oddest. Ah, see, the Hedwig, that's the old, surely whatever horrific thing an embarrassing thing I'm going through must be the worst out of any.
Don't be too sure.
There was a particularly loud laugh from outside.
You hear that? I'm sure Catherine will be up to no good in the camp tonight. Nobody will remember you streaking around the Abbey.
She suddenly started to chortle.
Sorry, just covered in ash. You look like a druid or some such.
I glanced down at my chest. There was a scattered line of gray powder running up my torso and neck, revealing where my borrowed traveling cloak had failed to cover me.
The bishop would like to speak with you.
I don't know if I should like to speak with him. Oh, no.
I wouldn't worry. He seemed very concerned for your well-being. He's really a sweet man, but I insisted you get some rest first. Not to mention that you need a bath.
Yes, most definitely. So, Catherine with a K?
We'll do what Catherine is wont to do. And that's none of your business. Come on, let's get you cleaned up, shall we?
I like the polite but firm. Hedwig, you are very nosy and need to not be. Where are my clothes?
You'll have to don that cloak again, I'm afraid. I washed your habit, but it's all still drying.
Oh. I stood up and retrieved the superior's cloak from the back of my writing chair.
Not to point out the obvious, but you're a touch less skittish about nudity these days, aren't you?
I'm too exhausted to care, to tell you the truth.
And it's nothing I haven't seen before.
True enough. Remember back during the first volume when Hedwig was skittish enough just seeing Moira and Eustace in the bath? Remember when Moira wouldn't remove her habit to bathe?
Yeah.
I just still think about that. What was the point of that? I fastened the clasp. I fastened the clasp and sighed. Moira, I feel as if I am failing myself. Not just myself, but I feel as if I'm failing everyone around me. Do you ever feel that way, coming here? I know that my circumstances are strange, but sometimes I marvel at how far I've fallen.
Fallen? What do you mean?
I used to recite the hours. There was a time where I might have been able to repeat the entirety of the Bible from memory because I lived inside of it. But now I am very much outside of it. Do you know what I did today? Moira smiled and reached out to stroke my cheek.
Poor thing.
Nothing involving a sword, I swear. Also, you found my clothing that I balled up and next to a sword?
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting.
You found my habit that was balled up on top of a sword that was missing and that...
I wonder where that sword went. We didn't stop to talk about how that sword got there.
Yeah.
If that's from the sacristy, then only someone with the key, so either Eustace or someone who took the key from Eustace or was given the key from Eustace would have it. Why they would transport it outside of the abbey is a mystery to me.
And just leave it there. I am of two minds about this. No one so far has mentioned the blood or cuts on Hedwig's hands.
Yep.
So part of me wonders whether it was a sword at all.
Hedwig just finds a cool sword-shaped stick and does the thing that everyone does when they find a cool sword-shaped stick, which is sting it around and go.
What? Like you find you found it laying around in the dirt, and you just kind of left it there. I don't know. That seems a little bit more reasonable, but even if it is the sword, like how are you?
Here's an idea.
I don't know. Okay, yeah, go for it.
Eustace planned to burn down the library. So it's true that there used to be books in that section, which is hidden in some way and difficult to access. And now there aren't. Hedwig wasn't imagining that.
Okay.
So they're all piled in the sacristy. And
that also burnt down?
Yes, of course, so that they can be burned down.
Oh,
so
okay.
Eustace is the one who's doing this, getting them out of the way as quickly as possible without letting anyone into the library, then setting up a plot to get them aflame in a way that won't be obvious that it has anything to do with her. Like, we'll pile them all in the sacristy and then, like, do something that'll set a fire there in a couple of hours. And I'll make sure that it's, like, empty around then, and it's fine. But the sword is important because it's Catherine's sword. So the sword is before the fire stuff is taken out and left outside. So
and she just leaves it outside instead of stashing it in her room?
Maybe she thinks folks would look in the room. I don't know.
So she leaves it. No, don't take my questioning to mean that I'm not, because this is very compelling in some ways, right? Like, this has a lot going for it. I'm just trying to be like, okay, so if we accept that, then we also have to figure out, like, why she just left it there. And why somewhere where Hetty happened to stumble upon it. And also, if she's burning down the sacristy, most of the library is going up with it, right?
Yeah.
So why did she have to move the books from point A that'll be burnt to point B that'll be burnt? Is it because she needed the fuel specifically?
It sure seemed like she was insistent that someone not find something. The door was locked, no one was allowed in, everything was astray and weird.
I'm not doubting that part at all.
Yeah.
It's more like I don't know what moving books actually has to do with anything, because...
My thought being, just going in and setting a fire in the library is more obvious.
Okay.
And being like, oh hey, at some point a fire was set somewhere. And gee, it so happens that everything burned down. Also, no one was able to access these at any time before that, I can guarantee. And hey, they're gone now. And hey, everything's ash, so no one can prove that anything's weird about it.
Okay.
It's still kind of odd.
Yeah, but it's worth mulling over, right?
Do you want to hear my theory from last time that was shot down before we even got to the point I could voice it?
Yes, always.
I had figured that Darcy and Eustace had fled.
Oh.
Because Darcy was not coming back at the time expected, and Eustace was gone, and then the sword was out there, and I was like,
yeah, and like they had been planning to...
They cut and run.
I would believe that if not for the fact where Darcy had offered to bring Hedwig with her to do sheep chores.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're cutting and running, you don't invite other people along to witness you.
Mm-hmm.
But still. What's up, Moira?
What did you do?
Can't say it.
Oh, sweet Hedwig.
It was my turn with my pillow.
Let's get you to the bath. I'm sure a wash will calm you down.
I nodded and followed her out of the dorms. She retrieved a candle pricket from the fireplace on the way. Make sure to log that, otherwise Eustace will become a real bitch about it later.
Just kind of shout at the top of your lungs, "Hey Eustace, log it." And all Eustace right. Like, "Yep, it's logged."
Thank you for telling me. The sounds of revelry were echoing throughout the cloister. Nobody seems too worried about what happened.
There's not much else to do about it.
We also haven't seen what the aftermath of that fire is yet, so I will be interested to see exactly how much went up, what went up specifically, and what they can glean from the remains.
Yep. The Superior is furious, of course.
The what?
The Superius.
Oh.
Superius?
Okay, I think I got it now.
After you fainted, she dragged Eustace to her office, and I haven't seen them since.
Moira giggled as she held the door to the baths open for me. Also, this was after Moira was creating a lot of smoke in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Was that somehow a distraction? So that way no one would second guess a smell of smoke, because they'd be like, oh, I see a lot of smoke coming out of the kitchen. That must be what's going on.
Wheels within wheels.
It's just the timing is sus,
yep.
Right.
Also, there's so much we've been asking about smoke, and there's smoke on the day of the killing.
Smoke.
It's smoke all the way down.
Smoke. That man is not well. Moira giggled as she held the door to the baths open for me.
Poor Eustace. I shouldn't laugh.
It was pitch dark in the bathhouse until Moira touched her candle to a sconce on the wall. One tub had been prepared. I hesitated before disrobing. Are you?
Oh, no, I wasn't planning to.
I shed the cloak from my shoulders and stepped into the bath while Moira set about lighting a sconce with her candle. The cool water was a shock at first, but as I sank into a sitting position, it became unbelievably comfortable. Once again, it had been treated with pleasant-smelling salts and herbs. Because Moira just gets bath salts.
the actual kind, not the research chemical psychoactive drug kind.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Just need to clarify
actual
there. Moira does not
bath salts.
Moira does not smoke bath salts.
Moira going through her Heisenberg phase. Moira, have you been making crystal meth out of the Abbey's basement again?
We have to cook, Hedwig.
Oh. Hetty as the Jessie to her Walter White is very funny. Said Hessie. I sighed and allowed myself to enjoy the sensation. Moira moved to better look at me, evidently still interested in chatting. You did all of this?
I thought it was the least I could do after making such a mess of supper.
Oh. Oh, goodness, I had forgotten all about it. What happened?
Well, I thought I had made something mostly edible, but it turns out Darcy really is just irreplaceable.
Did everyone eat?
Against their better judgment,
I'm sorry I left you to it alone.
pay it no mind. Truth be told, I doubt having two of us would have made much of a difference. Have you ever cooked?
Never in my life.
Nor I until today. So, in the end, it was probably for the best you ran off. Two clueless cooks would have only doubled the chance of setting the whole kitchen on fire.
What a strange coincidence.
Yeah, coincidence.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, what a strange coincidence. We already discussed this. I don't know what else to say.
Strange indeed. When we smelled smoke in the refectory, I was certain I had left the fire in the stove going. But it was a candle in the library, apparently.
A candle in the library.
Librarianly.
oh, librarianly. That's a very good one. Speaking of smoke, this is reminding me of something. Do you remember whether you noticed any smoke the morning that Catherine was found?
Oh yes, quite clearly. It's one of the first things that comes to mind. Why?
Oh, no reason. I have smoke on my mind. I remember that some of the others mentioning it, they had noticed it that morning. I am beginning to associate it with ill portents, I think.
Ah, that's understandable.
I'm just relieved it wasn't something awful like that. How did the superior react?
She assumed it was Flora's fault at first, but Eustace admitted to leaving something burning while she had been working in the sacristy.
She had been working in the sacristy?
So Eustace's excuse is I was in there? And she left something burning while working in there. I mean, I guess... Huh. And then she had no way to leave because Hedwig kept checking the doors, and the young nuns were out there playing chess. So she had no way to leave until... Interesting.
Where had Eustace been?
She didn't say. She just ran over to defend Flora and her friends.
I furrowed my brow and sunk into the water. Even the comfort of scented water couldn't protect me from the sickly sense of dread welling up inside me. Eustace had moved many of her books into the sacristy. Then she had disappeared for the day. Then a fire broke out, supposedly because of a candle or torch or what have you, left lit in the small room.
The room where she claimed to be working.
She realized her mistake and came clean to the superior. This was a fairly simple story about a dangerous but understandable moment of carelessness. But that wasn't the only strange thing about the library, was it? I popped my head back above the water for air before I could finish this thought. Moira had moved. I rubbed the water out of my eyes to see that she was chatting with Sister Angela.
Hedwig!
I didn't know I was doing a show.
Sister Angela wants to talk to you.
I don't know if I want to talk to Sister Angela.
You don't mind if I leave, do you?
Of course not.
Wonderful. I'm off to let the superior know you're well. Hopefully she's not being too hard on Eustace. Oh, and don't forget to visit the bishop when you're feeling up to it.
Bishop? Moira smiled at both of us and then went on her way. Angela watched her leave, eyebrow cocked as always.
What does the bishop need with you?
I haven't a clue.
Despite everything, Moira seems to think you are well. Are you?
As well as I can be, I suppose. She began to pace around the tub in a slow circle.
Are you going to ask if I am well?
Are you?
I am not well, Hedwig. I am not well at all.
Okay.
And I doubt you are either.
What makes you say that?
Must I explain? You failed to control yourself and your urges, clearly. But even more pressing, we both understand what happened in the library tonight, surely. Eustace was burning evidence.
I mean, that's kind of the unspoken assumption here, right?
So now I think I'm wrong.
Well, no, because like that is the unspoken assumption. But I guess it's also the thing we never asked was evidence of what,
Yeah.
right? Like it's one thing to be like, okay, burning evidence, but
The plot against the king.
like
They wrote it all down tidily in books and kept it until now.
that's the thing is that like even Hedwig observed like it's not like if there was a criminal conspiracy, Moira would be or Eustace would be writing down the receipts for it in the ledger, right?
Maybe it was... maybe-
What's that famous line? Is you taking notes at a criminal
Yeah.
conspiracy?
I was also thinking about The Wire.
Never not relevant.
I feel like I was going to say people have done stupider things, but the thing is, taking notes nowadays is so much of a more casual deal, whereas back then, you got to get a whole parchment and your quill,
Yep.
and like, not everybody knows how to write, and so on. So the activation energy needed to start taking notes on your criminal conspiracy would be much higher.
And there's also like a different kind of feeling between taking notes and then leaving them in like a notebook somewhere, and then having like your notes app on your phone that is on your person at all times.
Yep.
Right. But I don't know. Anyway, thank God Eustace read Robert's Rules of Order, I guess. But yeah, so I guess that is the question, right? Like even if we accept that she was trying to burn evidence of something, I still don't think we have a good idea of evidence of what. That's the part that bothers me, is I don't see what burning books or burning particular items of the sacristy would confirm or disconfirm for us, right?
Could be something about Catherine's notes.
Maybe.
Also, Robert's Rules of Order implies the far more dangerous and mysterious Timothy's Rules of Chaos.
What happened between Timothy and Robert?
She knows. One of us was careless. Or perhaps she has a collaborator that tipped her off.
Do we both understand that?
I should hope so. Are either of us stupid?
I felt a pang of despair imagining what ironclad evidence had just gone up in flames. Of course, Eustace knew that I was still investigating Catherine's murder. I did my best to mule and prostrate myself during our confrontation in the cellars, but frankly, if I was Eustace, I wouldn't trust my word either. What had motivated Eustace tonight, however? Why now? No ideas worth sharing out loud with Angela came to mind.
Yeah, the why now is also an important question. Like what has changed?
Yep.
I guess the arrival of the building company, right?
Yeah?
That is one major change in that specific day. It's the winter and Darcy isn't around today because she was bringing the sheep down for the winter, right? That's one other thing that made it today. It's very soon after the new oblates have gotten here.
Angela taking back Hedwig's notes.
Angela taking back Hedwig's notes. Those, yeah, some of those seeming more likely than others, but those seem like, yeah, those are like the only real inciting events I can think of at the moment.
Oh, here's another fun one.
Oh, hit me.
The rain. If you were going to stage a fire and didn't want it to burn down the whole building, you'd want to do it on a day when there was a downpour to keep things under control.
Oh, you were so right. You were so right. Oh, man. Thank God it happened on a day when it was raining so it didn't spiral out of control and burn the whole abbey.
What luck.
What luck. So maybe it was less an inciting event and more this was the first time that met her conditions.
That could explain why first move the books to the sacristy, then burn down. Like, oh shit, I can't start burning things down just yet.
But I also don't want people to be looking at these until then.
And I know that someone's on to me because Hedwig's book got stolen back. So I'm going to real quick get everything that could be incriminating out of the way where no one can see it. And then as soon as I get a chance,
Yep.
it's all going up in flames.
Yep. Okay. I see it. That is the most convincing version of events I've heard so far. It still bothers me of what, though?
Yep.
Right? And because if it is about the circumstances surrounding Catherine's death, then she's not as uninvolved as she says she is. Right? Even if her concern for Hedwig is genuine, if she had the ability to do all that, then she's not as uninvolved as she claims.
How do you mean? Uninvolved with what?
In the sense that, like, she was like, I am trying to look out for you, Hedwig. You know, like, you don't want to get involved in this. I guess she never claimed to not be uninvolved, did she?
Involved in, not involved in what?
In whatever events surrounded Catherine's death.
Does this necessitate that?
Well, if not then what? Then what evidence what other stuff does she want to be burning?
Everything Catherine wrote.
Everything Catherine wrote.
What if it is Catherine clearly uncovered something and that led to her death. I know about this and I don't want anyone else to look into it because it's just going to cause more shit to go bad. I'm going to destroy all of this so that no one can learn the things Catherine learns.
Got it. I see it now. Yeah.
That could just be knowing specific things Catherine wrote that shouldn't be in there. Could be not even knowing that, but just being like, I need that trail to go cold immediately.
Right. A just in case kind of move.
So I think there's definitely a world where Eustace could be the culprit for burning this down to hide evidence and also completely uninvolved in Catherine's murder.
Yes. Okay. I'm with you again. Do we agree, though, that there has to be that there was indeed some kind of group behind Catherine's murder? Or do we still think it might have been just a random event?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that
her having a cadre around her before she died, an inner circle, as Catherine described it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes me think that it's not just it wasn't just random crime of passion and opportunity. But
what gets me is I don't know of anything yet that would rule out a random stranger did it and fled theory. Because we've already established randos can get here and get to the nuns, like that one painter did for Catherine.
Yep.
So
I think the only thing keeping that from being the answer is it would make for a really unsatisfying mystery.
Yep.
Which...
That or the sword specifically. Do we know where Catherine's sword was kept when Catherine was still alive? Was it with Catherine, in which case it would be unsurprising? Or was it locked up in the sacristy,
yeah, exactly.
in which case it would be highly surprising?
Highly surprising. But now we're getting off track. Sorry.
No ideas worth sharing out loud with Angela came to mind. However, one useful thought did strike me. There is one thing she could not have burned.
Oh.
Catherine's sword. It's been sitting outside exposed to the elements.
How do you know that?
Because I saw it today. Scarcely even hidden. It's in a patch of grass along the outer wall.
And you left it there.
It was right as I noticed the smoke. I shouldn't have liked to run upstairs naked and armed.
But that would have been badass.
That would have been badass, yeah.
I suppose not. Still, knowing that a weapon is just sitting there for anyone to take has me ill at ease.
Should I go retrieve it? Angela looked thoughtful.
Do you have any idea why it might be there?
Not at all.
Where is it exactly?
By the exit that leads toward the hospitalum.
Have you seen anyone there lately?
Well, it's not far from the stairs I carried Flora down. I ran into the monster there. Angela looked as if she had something to say, but I realized something before she could speak. But it wasn't wielding the sword that night. I hadn't thought about that until just now, but only grabbed at Flora and I. The only person I've ever seen near where the sword rests is, An image formed in my head. I had, in fact, seen somebody acting rather shifty in that exact spot once before. Sister Catherine, with a K.
And what was she doing?
I stopped short. Angela and I had made a pact, but I had also made Catherine with a K a promise. I'm uncertain, but I suppose I could ask her. Angela nodded.
Do it tonight if you can, and then retrieve the sword as soon as you can move it discreetly.
Angela, you know exactly what happened today. Do you think I'm going to be able to find Catherine to have a conversation tonight? Tell me that.
Just follow the sound of orgasm outside our walls.
How would I know what... Okay. Could you tell me what sound I'm looking for? Strictly so I could do my job better?
Until then.
She stopped pacing. She stopped pacing and began to remove her clothes. Angela?
There is one other thing we must discuss.
Why are you... If we're discussing things, why are you getting naked for that?
It just seems to keep working, Hetty.
Is she doing it just because she knows Hedwig will pay attention if there's tits? Is that it?
My eyes are down here, Hedwig.
What?
You and I experienced something very strange today.
Are you getting in the bath or just taunting me?
I cannot stop thinking about it.
I almost protested that she had shed more of her clothing, but... As she shed more of her clothing, but... A tightness in my stomach forbade that I speak. Ah! Oh, you are just getting in the bath. Okay. Without asking, without saying a word, a rather naked Sister Angela stepped into the bathtub with me. I was forced to bunch up against the side to make room.
Describe what you saw to me.
Okay. Well, I saw what I always see. A large library full of long shelves. It wasn't until you lost sight of me that I thought anything of it.
You understand that is impossible?
Yes.
As do I. Which concerns me greatly because I have no other explanation for it. It was no trick of the light, nor a difference of opinion. You were somewhere I could not see.
Did Hedwig just find her way into one of the secret passages and then came back without Angela noticing? And that convinces Angela that... And somehow she does this deftly enough that it convinces Angela that she disappeared? Does Angela not know about secret passages there? I don't know what this accomplishes. I'm just trying to reason my way through, like, what could be happening.
Weren't things a bit weird from Hedwig's perspective, too, in terms of seeing what was going on?
Right, because she described it as if there was, like, this shadowy barrier that Angela could not just step forward through, right?
That's bizarre. What could that mean? I don't know.
Could be Hetty ducked in a secret passage, made Angela lose her. Angela doesn't know about the secret passage, then came back around behind her, and Angela's like, how the hell did that just happen? But I don't think you enter secret passages without making noticeable noise, so I'm back to not knowing.
I was surprised at Angela's candor. I am relieved in some sense that you feel this way, because I too am quite sure of what I saw, but I must admit that I am surprised by how readily you are taking to this. After all, I have seen many strange things here, and many of them impossible. I have told no one. Been so afraid to admit these things or consider them as part of my investigation. Dark things. Evil things. But you won't deny yourself. Why?
Because it would be far more foolish to pretend otherwise in the face of evidence. When we all piled out of the refectory to investigate the smell of smoke, I was the first upstairs. Flames were leaping out of the doorway to the sacristy, but do you know what else was in the air? Paper. Bits and pieces of pages. Yet the shelves I could see at any rate, remained full. Ergo,
That is very sound reasoning, Sister Angela.
indeed.
She sighed deeply.
Would you run away with me, Hedwig?
Run away?
What? It's so weird fighting and hearing where Angela's lines are. Like, being like, no, at this point I've seen something that, like, she's clearly trusted Hedwig's opinion on a few things at times, as kind of like a weather vane, at least, of whether or not she should be scared.
Yep.
But this is the first time where we've ever seen her like, no, I don't have an explanation for this. I am now willing to cut and run.
We've crossed over from I'm living in a den of sinners to, oh shit, Satan himself is at work here.
Right, exactly.
Run away?
Leave this place to its doom. I fear there is little we can do about it ourselves. There is no more evidence for us to gather, and it would seem that Sister Eustace is capable of significant devilry.
Not long ago, you were so full of purpose. It wasn't even like 2 episodes ago.
That was before I saw you reappear out of thin air. I felt strong then, I was brave, but I am not stupid. We have been bested handily.
Coward!
Also, the little synth lines in this remind me so much of the Void Stranger OST. I love it. What track is this? The Wheel.
I could not contain myself. Angela looked up at me in complete shock. Do you know what I have done for Catherine? I have lied. I have lied every day to everyone about who I am and what I am doing
Hold
here.
up. I've lied to every day to everyone about who I am. Huh.
Is Hedwig?
I've cheated. I've stolen. And worst of all, I have indulged. You whored me out to those women. You told me it was the best and only way to win their trust, to lie and make myself available to them. And I agreed with you. I may well have given up a place in heaven for the sake of Sister Catherine. What have you done, Sister Angela? What sacrifices have you made other than your own comfort? You tossed me like a ham hock to greedy dogs. I saw a monster plain as day the very first night after I left my cell, and yet I have managed to keep my faith and maintain my duty. And you are ready to give up because of some curious shelves? You demanded a pact with me.
Hedwig,
And now after all this, you wish to abandon Catherine?
I am not St. George, Hedwig, and neither are you. There is bravery and honor and duty, and then there is stubbornness. Would God send us such an impossible mission? Perhaps we are meant to tell greater people with greater power. We could travel to Westminster. They have exorcists. They're the Knights Hospitaller. I am not a coward, but I am also no fool.
She looked at me pleadingly.
It's so weird that I think Angela understands a lot about Hedwig, but doesn't understand just how much Hedwig genuinely believes what she says about like the nature of her own faith. It's not just a convenient excuse for her. She, despite everything she does still very much believe that she is making sacrifices in the view of God in order to bring this about.
And what's more, she very much believes that she saw one of Satan's own emissaries on day one and has kept up living and doing the thing regardless. She is not speaking metaphorically there. That is actually what she thinks she experienced.
Yeah, and when push comes to shove, Angela can't do the same.
She looked at me pleadingly. It was not an expression I was used to. Well, I couldn't stop you if you wanted to leave.
No. Were I to leave, I would want to leave with you.
That's the weird part about it, is that through some fucked up way, it feels like Hedwig is somehow Angela's only actual friend. Right?
And why me? Angela stared at me for what felt like minutes, her mouth quivering.
I don't know. It would feel wrong leaving you here knowing what I know. And with you knowing what you know. Here or there, we must remain a pair. Apart, things would be unfinished.
Despite its presence, I can pin Eustace without resorting to the speculative and magical. I am certain of it. I am staying here until it is done.
Then so am I.
She lunged forward suddenly and pressed me into a tight embrace. I flinched and shut my eyes. Her body pinned mine to the edge of the tub and she pressed her lips to my ear.
That is a promise.
It was hard to breathe. Very well. Angela. Something had caught the corner of my eye. Movement in the window, a shadow just barely visible against the dark sky. I said nothing at first, too overwhelmed by Angela. She was planting her lips all over my neck and shoulders. It was hard to complain, although I was slightly bewildered. Darcy had at the very least aimed for my lips. I opened my eyes and glanced toward the window again. A pair of eyes locked with mine.
You see him?
Yep.
A face I did not recognize. The torchlight flickered just so, giving me just enough light to see that a young man was crouched in the bush, behind the bathhouse window, watching us. He looked terrified to have been caught.
Oh, hello.
My keeper grinned at him, and after a moment of bewilderment, he grinned back. I leaned back in the tub and, at my doppelganger's instruction, held my arms aloft to give the spectator a better view. I came to my senses quickly, however. Oh, God! I made a show of slinking under the water and gesticulating toward the window. Angela scrambled backwards, sloshing all the way. The observer disappeared immediately. I, too, felt strangely violated, both by the circumstances and by the behavior of my doppelganger had goaded me into.
I knew it. I knew it.
Ah!
Gonna have so much goat work to do this episode.
She launched herself out of the bath and began drying herself with the towel furiously.
I ought to gut that little rat.
You speak like you know who it is.
She gave up on the towel and flung it to the ground. She crouched low and began to fumble with the pile of clothes she had shed before joining me in the bath. I realized a second too late what she was looking for. Angela, don't! I saw a flash of silver. She began to sprint, full tilt, still nude. I ejected myself from the tub to give chase. Yet another convenient excuse for me to run around the abbey in the buff. The young man hadn't gotten far, and Angela's long legs carried her surprisingly quickly. I could barely keep up, and the further we got from the bathhouse, the more worried I felt. If I were to be caught like this twice in one day, we were approaching the archway. Please, I begged God. I was not sure what I wanted even. I just begged openly for something. With an animal howl, Angela leapt onto the fleeing lad and tackled him to the ground. Until this moment, I was not certain that there had actually been a person there.
Mm.
And that it hadn't been more of Hedwig kind of imagining more voyeuristic scenarios for herself, right?
Mm.
Also, my guy, you picked the wrong time for this.
He yelped, but it was interrupted by a horrific crunch as its chin collided with the ground. The pair skidded hard against the gravel before finally coming to a stop. I could see blood on Angela's knees. She pressed the dagger into the back of his neck and dug the tip into his skin without hesitation. Angela! She ignored me and spoke to the wretch in a hoarse whisper.
Tell me your name.
Tomasz.
His lips were split and blood was pouring out of his mouth. It made him hard to understand and I had to look away.
That's unfortunate. I don't believe in fate, but your name makes a compelling argument.
Don't believe in what your name makes. Is this another reference I'm not going to get?
Yeah, what happens to Thomas again in the
What
Bible?
she said, if only I had been...
What?
Her next line?
If only I had been riding a horse,
The young man coughed and sputtered.
I got lost on the way back from the latrine, good sister.
Liar.
She removed the knife from his neck, then held the tip against his cheekbone.
What did they do with poor Thomas? He was executed, if I remember correctly.
Oh, wow. Okay, we're learning all about Thomas today.
Trying to remember what's up here. Sorry.
No worries. Any
Um,
success? We could take a moment and I could cut this out if you want to.
So yeah, I don't know what's being referenced here. It's quite unclear to me.
Okay. But it doesn't quite match with Thomas the Apostle? Is what you were saying? Well,
Unless there's things I don't know about.
got it. Well, you know who will know? You folks down in this comment section below. Is this indeed Thomas the Apostle and just something we're not aware of? Or is it someone else that we don't know? Let us know, because if nothing else, I love more context. Anyway, go ahead, Angela.
Or at the very least, they say he was struck blind as punishment. Your choice.
Sister Angela! I dared not interfere physically. She was armed and I was not, and her rage seemed to give her the strength of 10 men.
My God, what is happening here?
I whipped around and shrieked. Margaret's father was standing dumbstruck on the path behind us. Hi!
One of your little boys was spying on the baths.
Crispin walked forward with an immense amount of calm and looked down at his bloodied employee.
Thomas, is this true?
Was just on my way back from the latrine, sir. Took a wrong turn and...
Liar. Tell me what happened.
I guess it is awful convenient from Crispin's point of view that Angela just happens to be...
Yep.
You catch a lecture on the, after giving her that whole talk.
He looked up at Angela and then at me. He looked calm but deadly serious, was seemingly unembarrassed by our nudity.
Hedwig saw him crouching by the window as we bathed. Who knows how long he was there? Spilling his seed on the ground, no doubt.
It is true, sir. I looked up and saw him there. He's got a very good look at us before he was caught. Crispin sighed and stood up. He folded his arms and stared down at Thomas.
This is unacceptable, Thomas. A violation of these good people's trust.
Sir,
He will be punished, good sister. Please let him go.
Angela was steely and determined.
No. Please let him go. I will make sure he never finds work again. I can make sure of that right now.
Thomas howled and struggled underneath her.
It would be far simpler my way. You don't want his death on your conscience. Do I not? At the very least, you don't want to deal with the aftermath. Dressing a body, burying it. There would be paperwork involved with the diocese, isn't there? And that's if they believe you. I believe you for what it's worth. But I have to imagine there's a possibility this leads to far more trouble for you than it is worth.
Angela considered for a moment, and then finally relented.
that's what gets her to relent. Paperwork.
She
I was
stood
down
up.
for murder, but I draw the line at paperwork.
There you go.
Thomas began to scramble to his feet, and Crispin grabbed him by the scruff before he could take a step forward. The young man's jaw had split in the fall, and one of his eyes was puffy and purple. Angela may well have blinded him without any need for her knife.
Horse! Horse! I saw these two well enough, I did. Saw them doing all manner of perverted things. That one was neck deep in the other one.
He was shouting at the top of his lungs, struggling to get the words out of his lopsided mouth. Blood sputtered out of his lips.
Not another word, Thomas.
What?
Not one word. You are in serious trouble, but I'm afraid it'll be worse still if you get blood on my doublet.
Damn! Hear me out. Crispin so far has been nothing but awesome. Like, I'm not ready to say he's without equivocation awesome, because Margaret seems to have complicated feelings about seeing him here, but it'll be worse still if you get blood on my doublet is a hard-ass line.
The young man finally gave up.
Good sisters, can I count on your discretion? Absolutely not. I am going straight to the superior.
She sounded truly taken aback. Crispin smiled thinly.
I would ask that you did not, please. Allow me to demonstrate that I meant what I said in our meeting earlier. Let me show you that I keep my word. Why should I? A lot of men are depending on this job. They are excited to serve. Their pay will carry them and their families through the winter and longer. The stone is cut. The plans are drafted. To turn around and leave now, well, it would be not only disastrous to my company's reputation, but a massive upheaval of many lives. Be kind, good sisters. I will make sure this one gets his due.
Angela stared at Thomas with intense hatred for a moment.
Very well. Let him walk down to the village as he is and fetch a ride somewhere.
Crispin chuckled softly.
Perhaps not that, but he will be treated fittingly. You will tell me what he receives? Of course. For now, I will take him to get patched up. Perhaps an embarrassing story about slipping in the latrine can be his first punishment. After that, the wheel. Have a good night, sisters.
The wheel?
Whoa, Crispin! That escalated quickly.
Wait, hold on. What's the wheel?
Do you know about the Catherine wheel?
The shoegaze band?
They're named after a thing. So, it is... Breaking upon the wheel was a method of punishment for some time that was rather horrific, and has an it was called St. Catherine's wheel because it was allegedly what was used on St. Catherine. But they'd just take a big wheel, like for a cart, and then just kind of stretch you out on it and break all your limbs.
Stretch
everywhere.
you out on it?
So, apparently it later turned to hitting people with the wheel and using that to break all the limbs. And then they'd like thread your body into the wheel once all your limbs were broken and screwed up.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So, if that is the wheel that he is referring to, that's serious business.
Jesus Christ. Also, Saint Catherine?
Yep.
Okay. That's the part I picked up on out of all that. Anyway, that was really upsetting to learn.
Yeah, really awful stuff. If you want some images, which you probably don't, Wikipedia has them.
I don't need ones with people in them, but
the wheels themselves are not particularly interesting or impressive. It's just a normal wheel.
Right, it's just
using it for typically purposes unrelated to its general intention as a simple machine.
Got it. By contrast, if you would like something positive out of this conversation, go ahead and listen to shoegaze band Catherine Wheel's seminal 1992 release, Ferment.
It's really good.
It's really good, with such hits as I Want to Touch You and Black Metallic.
Both great tracks.
Anyway, bye, Crispin.
Apparently it was used especially for those convicted as murderers, rapists, traitors, or robbers.
Huh. We never really, as a species, just stopped wanting to horrifically punish other people, huh?
I would say we're doing a bit better in many ways than some previous...
I mean, at least when we torture, we have the good sense to pretend we're not.
I mean... I'm not
I'm
going
not
to debate
wrong.
you about the carceral state here, but
No, you're
I
absolutely...
think that reflecting upon our history and what we have inflicted upon folks in the past and for what, there are a lot of things very, 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 very different now in ways that I should not like to return.
I understand that you're right. I'm also just generally annoyed at the ways it still happens and we pretend it doesn't. So, I don't know. I don't know why I'm arguing with you. I love you. Go listen to more 90s shoegaze.
Anyway, have a good night, sisters. I apologize profusely for my employee.
He nodded at us both and then dragged Thomas toward the courtyard. Angela skulked back out of the archway toward the bathhouse, and I followed her, starting to shiver. Crispin had been so polite, that I almost forgotten we were completely naked. Also, he was really quick on the draw. Like, I'm not implying anything, but I'm also not implying anything. He was just ready to be there.
Yep.
Angela!
Quiet, please.
I felt awful. I wanted to apologize to Angela, a feeling I had never expected to have, but I had seen that young man in the window and done nothing, worse than nothing, for my own sick purposes. I'd been curious. I wanted to hurl myself before Angela and beg forgiveness for my perversion. My darkness had touched her. Well, I mean, she touched you first, did she not? Perhaps it would be better to consider it's her fault. The baths were a real mess after our sudden exit. Water was all over the floor and Angela's clothes were scattered about. She stepped into the bathtub and hissed as her bloody knees were submerged. You're not going to get dressed?
I am dirty, and so are you. Join me?
I am rather rattled and restless after all that. An idea had struck me. Moira had alluded to the likelihood of Catherine with a K getting up to no good in the men's camp. Now was as good a time as any to ask her what she could tell me about the sword. Despite everything, I still felt honor-bound not to speak too loudly about her rendezvous with James. I had to trust Angela more than most, however. I could not lie to her, at least not wholly. I think I might go to speak to Catherine. See if I cannot extract something from her. Angela nodded approvingly and sank into the water.
Very well. Good night then, Sister Hedwig.
Good night, Sister Angela. I pulled the Superior's traveling cloak off the hook it had been hung up on, wrapped it around myself, and then took my leave. It was getting rather late, but I still had work to do. I was determined to press forward. I had another piece of evidence to investigate, but I couldn't do it alone. I needed to talk to Catherine. She had used the sword that had been resting in the grass before. Is that just another Hedwig leap?
Yeah, that seems...
The sword was resting there. The last person I saw there suspiciously was Catherine with a K. Therefore, Catherine had been the one using the sword.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just making sure we're acknowledging that she's leaping a lot here.
My mind was racing, but I was able to focus just enough to come up with what I thought was a rather cunning plan. Catherine, I knew, was adept at brushing aside topics she had no interest in. But if I collected the sword first, I could cut to the chase, as it were.
Of course it won't be there.
Is that what you're calling it?
Yeah.
I think it'll be funnier if it is still there.
Naturally, this would all involve letting Catherine in on my little secret. The benefits, however, were potentially massive. I was willing to make a sacrificial move. After dashing upstairs to get dressed and collect a candle...
Oh, good on you, Hedwig.
Finally, clothes on for the first time today.
Jesus. Finally taking pity on poor old me and having to goat up everything. Reminder, we could absolutely be playing this with the censorship on. I'm just choosing to make my life harder because it's funnier.
Because we're sickos.
We're sickos. We're sickos and we love to see a bare tit. A bare tit and some tasteful bush. That's what I signed up for.
I walked briskly toward the outer wall. The path took me past the build site.
Oh, there. Hello.
That's...
There's a person right there, huh?
Yeah.
That's weird. It's flickering a little bit, but if you look down to the bottom right of that stack of stone there,
Yep.
there's a little figure with eyes.
It was oddly eerie at night. Something rustled in the dark and wind passing through a tree, I told myself. The logical explanation did little to put me at ease. I passed as quickly as I could.
Any figures in this one?
See, now I'm always looking. After
Yeah,
that,
now I'm paranoid.
I was particularly chilled because I carried the cloak with me,
I ain't seeing shit here.
rather than wearing it atop my habit. The thick, dark wool was going to help me conceal the sword as I transported it to Catherine. I followed the path around the outer wall of the abbey and soon reached my destination. I held my breath as I approached the patch of grass where I had last seen the sword. It struck me at last what a gamble this was. I had been pursued by the creature wielding this thing since my trip to the stream. Was it even still there? It was
Oh.
indeed.
That's even weirder.
That's even weirder that it's there.
Because someone went to retrieve Hedwig's clothes and left the sword that was under them.
Yeah, that's even weirder that it's there. I'm thinking Hedwig actually stashed it somewhere else and is eliding that in her retelling. But I don't know why.
Ah.
Because she dropped it there with her clothes, which Moira went to grab. And it's not like it's particularly well hidden. Unless... the explaining why it would still be there takes way more leaps.
Yeah.
Hedwig, you're straight up lying to us, and I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know about what, but I know you must be.
Perhaps this was some agreed upon hiding spot between Eustace and her dark benefactor. With a sigh of relief, I bent down and retrieved it. It was looking a little worse for the wear, but I wiped it dry with the cloak before wrapping it into as neat a bundle as I could. I held the swaddled sword under my arm and turned to return the way I had come.
Hey.
And they're not there anymore.
But look up top.
Oh, now you're up there. Okay. Okay, cool, great. Hi, buddy.
There absolutely was something at the construction site, however. A shadow that had not been there before standing atop the chapel. I had many questions as well as a palpable sense of terror, but I did not allow myself to linger. I had taken enough chances tonight. At best, the figure was a wandering sister who I would have to explain the bundled sword to. At worst, I might have crossed paths with the Barghest as it explored the nascent clock tower. Nascent? Nascent.
That's a great question.
I think it's nascent and not nascent.
This is another one of those words that I've written a lot and not said aloud.
Yeah,
I
I feel like I've heard people say nascent, and I've never heard nascent before.
I definitely feel like it's not a sh.
Yeah, nascent, maybe. Anyway.
Perhaps building here was a cursed endeavor after all. I decided to take the long way around up the stairs I had carried Flora down. I dared not glance over my shoulder. There was simply no pleasant explanation for that figure. What if it was yet another leering young man? I could not count on Angela to tackle everyone who stalked and watched me. As
Apparently nascent and nascent are both fine.
Fuck that. Pick one.
As I crested the top step, I gagged a little. There was a truly terrible smell emanating from somewhere.
What is happening with this?
So overpowering, I could almost feel it.
Is it just the latrine?
That doesn't track.
Except now there's a whole bunch more people using it?
There's no way that tracks.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Where was it coming from? It got stronger as I approached the door that had crushed Flora's knee. I could hear a low, buzzing sound coming from below. With some trepidation, I peeked over the stone wall, but it was too thick and wide to get a good view of anything below. It was difficult to make out exactly what it was from up here, though. I slowly realized what the noise was. I thought back to the days and nights alone in my cell, when flies had drifted in to pick at whatever leftover food sat on my windowsill. Whatever was below the wall was no doubt flesh. Remember that Eustace and I had caught a similar scent walking back from the field after I had briefly lost my mind and ran naked through the tall grass. Perhaps a poor little rabbit had wandered into the bush and died. That was not enough rationalization for me to leave it be, however. I wonder what they're going to do when they find the old Soup's body underneath all the rubble, right? Because they do have to clear that to build a new one there. And as everyone said, the stench was awful during service, so it's not like she Disney-deathed.
I mean, presumably by now the stench isn't awful because she'll have decayed. So
right, but still,
hopefully it'll be an easier cleanup job.
They're going to find bones.
Yeah.
They're going to find bones is what'll happen.
To be fair, where on God's scepter dial won't you find bones if you dig deep enough?
And did those feet in ancient time?
But what if the figure I had seen by the build site? Curiosity got the better of me. I hopped back down from the edge of the wall and jogged back out toward the stairs, gliding down them and slipping around the outside of the wall. As I jogged, I felt a surge of bravery. So what if it was indeed a Barghest or a ghost or a devil? I had a sword. Thankfully, I was not waylaid. I had to navigate some uneven slopes as the stone curved around the hill. It was a little tricky in the dark, but I was determined not to fall and roll down as I had in front of Darcy before. Things evened out slightly as I approached the field. And as I approached the overgrown shrubs, I could hear the incessant buzzing of flies again. I pulled aside a branch to get a better look at what they had been feeding on. There was indeed a dead thing there. The flesh was almost all gone, only graying patches here and there still stuck to the bones. A few tufts of fur remained, some attached to the remaining skin that had fallen from the rib cage to reveal the creature's innards, which were covered in hungry little beasties. The number of legs at least assured me that this was no man or woman. Desiccating body might have been unidentifiable save for one alarming detail. A missing head. This had to be the goat I had seen beheaded by the ghost all those nights ago. The deed had been done with the sword I was carrying, no less. And only now you notice the smell?
Takes a while for things to decay and get really stinky.
I guess. Accelerated, triumphant, and slightly nauseous, I scurried my way from the shrubs and made my way back to the upper wall.
Though come to think of it, hasn't it been weeks?
It's been a long time.
It does feel like that's a little long.
And
Like-
also, she was there with Flora that one night, right? She didn't mention anything about a smell then.
She was where?
Right near, the place where she noticed the stench was right outside the door where
door,
Flora's
yeah.
leg got crunched.
Yeah. Yeah.
And granted, things were going on then, but if the stench was as overpowering as she claimed, she probably would have mentioned something at that point, right?
I could overlook in the energy and fear of the moment of being chased by a thing, locking in on the details that one was fixated on and missing others. Humans are rather fallible.
I guess I can accept that. It doesn't feel good, though. You know what I mean?
It's still odd, though. Like, if it really was however many weeks ago when Hedwig, first night out of her cell, and only just now it's decomposing. I feel like usually a body left out in the rain and elements and so on.
Maybe the rain made it more
quicker.
fresh or something? Or not more fresh, but brought up the aroma more? Or
Maybe.
I don't know.
And it's not like it's winter or something when it's a chill, so it doesn't
Believe it or
decompose
not,
as quick.
I don't know much about decaying flesh.
I read a book about it once. I forget the name, but it was cool.
Ugh.
If you can find whatever book that was that I read about decaying bodies, I recommend you read it.
Great. What a nice, solid recommendation that was.
As emboldened as I felt, I did not feel like trying my luck going through the build site again. So I had not been imagining things after all. I really had seen a goat.
It also could just be not that. There could be a different reason there's a goat.
Or it could just be a different animal. Or it could just be a different reason why it's there.
Yeah.
I get it. And I get why this kind of confirms her suspicions. But also, like, Hetty is misjumped to conclusions, right?
I'm also thinking, what if someone has put it there to convince Hedwig that the first thing really was what she thought it was?
Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing. It's like, And just on the off chance she comes back over there, I guess it's low commitment, but still.
And it's a place that's, like, noticeable to multiple people, so eventually it would be found.
Yeah. Well, so it goes. As I approached the large doors, my mind raced. One more thread of evidence to follow. What exactly did this information confirm? I decided that simple vindication would have to be enough for now. I pushed my way through the door that had crushed Flora's leg. For a moment, I was anxious I might face the same fate, but nothing happened, of course. The wind wasn't so strong tonight. As I hastily strode through the second-floor hallway, my thoughts refocused on Catherine with a K. With the sword in hand, I would be able to plainly tell her what I needed. She could tell me something about the circumstances that would further incriminate Eustace. Were they in league together? I certainly hoped not, but surreptitiously passing a deadly weapon around the Abbey was cause for great alarm. There was still a long divot in the gravel underneath the archway. No doubt the spot where Thomas had skidded after Angela leapt on his back. I had stood in that spot naked as anything for God knows how long. Had any of the other men seen me? So be it, I thought. I approached a roaring campfire where I could see several sisters engaged in raucous conversation with the builders.
Ah, make room, friends. We another visitor.
What was all that commotion about just now? The boss looked right pissed. Hedwig, how wonderful. I was actually just telling these lads all about you.
That's upsetting. Not here to chat, I'm afraid. I need to speak with you about something.
Go on, then.
Alone. Catherine untangled herself from her admirers, looking slightly irritated. I guided her to the most secluded spot I could find at the edge of the camp, close to the Abbey wall.
What is this about, Hedwig? I'm trying to relax.
I will let you return to your merrymaking in a moment.
Well, spit it out then. What is it that you're carrying?
I will get to that. First, I must share an important secret with you.
Oh my.
You see, I must seek your help with something of grave importance. I have been lying to you for a while. Just to you, but to everyone. And I will continue to lie to the others, I'm afraid. You must keep this a secret, as I've kept your secrets in kind.
Get to the point, Hedwig.
I am investigating Catherine's death.
Ah.
Ah?
I suspected as much in my more paranoid moments. I must admit, I do not relish being correct.
Well, you see, you have nothing to worry about. Or rather, you won't, if you can help me.
Rather threatening. Go on.
Well, you see, I glanced around and lowered my voice to a whisper. I suspect Eustace is up to something.
You think she...
No! Try not to think about that. It's less that I suspect her specifically, and more that I know she is hiding something from me.
She hides a lot from everyone.
Well, be that as it may, I've grown suspicious of her behavior. Tonight's fire in the sacristy is just one more example. But try as I might, I've had no actual evidence to present to the superior. The only concrete wrongdoing I could prove to her was the fact that she had neglected to keep track of the sword.
The sword.
Is there more than one sword?
That's interesting, because it would make sense, right? Because we talked about the name. If there was a pair of swords,
And that's- yeah.
that would make a lot of sense.
I unwrapped the cloaked weapon slightly, just enough to show Catherine the pommel.
Good lord.
I believe I saw you hide this behind your back that night we ran into each other, as you returned from the hospitalum. I had assumed I had something that would point towards Eustace, but instead the superior seemed more interested in what you had been up to.
Ho ho ho. Oh, Hedwig, you're going to kill me.
No, I am not! I'm here to help you.
By hanging this sword over me like Damocles. If you so much as whisper to the superior about that night, she will have everything she needs to get rid of me. Do you understand?
That's why I came to you! I want to know what I can say to avoid that outcome. The sword is not being taken care of. This is the most solid piece of evidence I have about Eustace, but obviously I don't want to hurt you. I need you to give me more details about how the sword got there, and why Eustace doesn't have it locked up properly. Anything to distract the superior from your visits to James.
There's nothing you can say to her. I've never been highly favored by the superior. I don't think she believes me capable of reform. She granted me refuge here as something of a project, I wager. And, well, I wasn't particularly interested in being worked on. I just wanted to live.
But you had nothing to do with Catherine II's death, surely.
That doesn't matter. Oh, Hedwig, you really have me cornered.
This is my only path forward. I must tell her something.
And your one path out of checkmate is sacrificing me. Bloody hell, Hedwig. I thought we were, well, closer than this.
I did not come here with the intent to threaten you. Why are you so certain this would spell your doom?
That's rubbish. You wouldn't be telling me this if it didn't. I'm useful all of a sudden, and you're playing Inquisitor.
Well, hang on. You can account for your movements the night Catherine was killed. The Superior already accepted once before that James had an alibi because he was with you. So it should follow that you have an alibi because you were with him. In fact, there's nothing to worry about at all, surely. Perhaps I've just overthought all of this. Catherine smiled thinly.
That is not how this works. The Superior has to offer someone up to the bishop. The bishop, in turn, has to return to the diocese. They don't care about fiddly little details like who was where, when. What matters to everyone above us is the illusion of closure. Pieces must move. Linbarrow Abbey saved from the machinations of a repeat murderess. That's the story the bishop will present before they hang me.
But your husband died in an accident. You're just blamed by those awful villagers. Catherine leaned close to me, her eyes glinting. She whispered through her teeth, her voice a low purr.
Hedwig, dear, of course I killed my husband.
Yeah! He had it coming?
He had it coming.
He only had himself to blame?
I stood there, dumbfounded. No, you didn't.
I did, and I would do it again in an instant. I am comfortable saying he got what was coming to him, and I have happily paid the price here. Well, happily enough. For a while, I eked out a living, feeling like I had freed myself from decades of suffering. Perhaps hell awaited me in the end, but at the very least, I could live somewhat comfortably here. But not anymore. Maybe it was always meant to be this way.
She was murmuring now.
I couldn't run forever.
Whatever you may have done in the past, punishment for Catherine II's death is no proxy.
Then you must decide whether or not you want me dead, Hedwig. Because that's what will happen if you so much as breathe in the Superior's direction about James and I. I never should have fucked that pimply little weasel. I always expected that'd catch up to me, just not like this.
Catherine!
Please leave, Hedwig. I would like to enjoy the rest of my night. Do what you must with that sword. I appreciate the warning, at least.
I backed away slowly, still trying to think of something to say. Still trying to process the idea of Catherine killing someone. Part of me wanted to turn and flee even if I was the armed party in this exchange. However, something gave me pause. Pity overrode fear. Vengeance was the Lord's, but so was judgment. Whatever pushed Catherine to commit such a heinous act must have been awful. She eventually stepped forward, interrupting my thoughts. She was not finished with the conversation after all.
I've changed my mind. So, you suspect Eustace is up to something? They were always up to something, that lot.
That lot. Now, is she spilling the truth, or is she spilling a version of it that's going to implicate someone who's not her? She did offer freely earlier on that she had only been let in Catherine's inner circle toward the very end.
Yep.
So,
I never thought too hard about it. I didn't want to. Margaret was very closely involved, you see. Catherine too. Margaret, Moira, and Eustace. Moira and Eustace. Catherine too, Margaret, Moira, and Eustace.
Catherine II, Margaret, Moira, and Eustace.
All of the people we were sus of except for Margaret.
Except for Margaret, which is a...
I'm interested what I missed there.
Maybe we were supposed to be more suspicious of the fact that she was actively trying to learn all the hidden passageways of Linbarrow.
True.
I don't know. I just if I was in a building for all of my life, I'd want to know all the secret bits of it, right?
Yeah, me too.
That didn't strike me as suspicion-worthy.
They had meetings constantly. It consumed Catherine in the end. whatever it was. When she died, her closest friends were the last people I thought could have been involved. So of course I was relieved, selfishly, when James was fingered for the crime. But in the back of my mind... Well, I'm sure you would know more than I. I stayed out of it all.
What were they up to?
They wanted to kill someone.
The bloody King of England?
She smiled briefly, clearly taking pleasure in giving me something this bitter to chew on.
That's all I know. Perhaps you can find more now.
I wouldn't know where to begin with just that.
That is a shame. I shall wait out my doom with grace then. Goodbye, Hedwig.
I turned away, tears welling up in my eyes. This was all too much for me to bear. I wanted to run and burst into the superior's office and scream that Eustace was clearly at fault, but I knew it would do me no good. I didn't have real evidence. And what could I even argue for? That Eustace seemed more suspicious? That she was capable of the impossible? I had to find something else, but Catherine clearly wouldn't budge.
Can we talk about how hard that track fucked?
And all I could do now was pray.
Yes. Okay, sorry, I wanted to get to the end of the scene. Let's take some time real quick here. Hey, that track fucks.
That was a really good track.
It said volume 1, so I think we've heard that one before, but dang, that's good. And also, Catherine casually admitting to, yeah, I did kill my husband, what of it? Did you have her pegged for actually having killed her husband?
I kind of hadn't really thought about it either way.
Yeah, I guess it hadn't really... Like, I was aware of the possibility, but I hadn't really thought it changed much of anything. Right? Whether or not she would, like... Her having done it or not did not change, in my estimation, what she was capable of now.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But it always kind of been in the back of my mind that, yeah, well, maybe she actually did do it.
So, there are some possibilities here.
Okay.
One, this information is correct.
Okay.
And Catherine, did the quick mental math and is like, okay, if I come clean about everything I know, maybe I don't get the axe for this. So that's a possibility. Another possibility, this is made up. This is not accurate, and is Catherine trying desperately to get out of being the obvious target for this.
Yep.
Another possibility, Catherine was involved in killing other Catherine, and this is an attempt to deliberately frame Catherine's own friend group.
Well, exonerating her.
Yeah.
I would believe that part if not for the fact where she had, before this even came up, mentioned only being let in late on into their cadre. You know what I mean? That was before she said she suspected her more paranoid moments, but at the time she told us that I don't think she had any real reason to be prepping that lie.
I mean, if you had killed someone and were trying to make sure it didn't seem like you were involved, being like, I wasn't that closely associated and so on.
My thought would be if you're just by even volunteering that information, you invite more suspicion. The best way to show you're not involved is just to not say shit about it. But maybe that's just how I feel about it. And also, let's not even get past, so she doesn't deny the sword being there and knowing that it's being passed around.
Interestingly, she didn't say anything whatsoever about it, did she?
No,
she didn't even acknowledge that Hedwig said that.
She did. She said the sword?
Okay, so she does acknowledge that Hedwig says that, but then doesn't respond to it in any way, and is just like, this means I'm dead.
Right. Maybe, and again, that line could be taken in a couple ways. Like, is there more than one sword, like we suspect, or is she more like, wait, what are you referring to? And then, oh shit, that's there. Here's another question. Well, I guess one thing this does explain is why Moira wouldn't move the sword.
Yeah.
But then again, it now means Moira has more questions for Hedwig.
Yeah.
Right? But that conveniently does explain why Moira wouldn't have said, or wouldn't have moved the sword. But now maybe Hedwig is under more... What an interesting group.
plotting to kill the King of England when he comes down to Linbarrow to hide out for a quick mow later this year.
Weirdly enough, the fact that what's really interesting about that group is that it really seems that Catherine would have had to been what tied them all together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're not that close outside of
Exactly. And weirdly enough, that makes it more believable. Rather than trying to feed Hedwig an easy story about like, oh, this clique we've seen before, right?
It's like, here's a group of people that you never fucking see hanging out and talking to each other.
If that's a lie, it's a bold-ass lie, right?
Yep.
So, interesting. And remember what Catherine's alleged last project was?
Hedwig?
You, Hedwig. How on earth? What if her last project was to use her death to give the chance for some woman who she thought was unfairly locked up in a cell for her life to have a chance to see the world? What if it's something silly like that? I say silly. I'm just trying to. My brain is working to try to find like some kind of explanation for things, of making those facts line up, and it's hard at the moment. I still feel like we're missing. Obviously, we're missing a whole lot of stuff.
Want to hear my bizarre crackpot theory
Yes,
that things
always.
are finally coming together for?
Always.
Since the very beginning, I was like, oh, what if Hedwig killed Catherine? Catherine was approaching Hedwig at the very end. Hedwig's Catherine's final project and so on. Catherine's like, oh, I'm going to come back and give you the book. Oh, but I never got it. And then everything like was different and so on. But like, we now know people can get into and out of the cell at times when they shouldn't. They can get a hold of a key. Catherine could very well have gotten in there and like made advances on Hedwig or something. And Hedwig killed her. And I'm like, oh, wait. What if this is extra macabre? What if it's they weren't plotting to romance her? What if it's they just wanted to kill someone? Let's kill the anchoress. Let's make a locked room mystery. And it doesn't work out.
That
Is not the story of the game we're playing, but it would fuck if it were.
That's so fascinating. And so the whole point was they just wanted to kill Hedwig to create a locked room mystery. To create some kind of, just to that end, for the spectacle of it, or to create some kind of something interesting going on? Or were they, if they indeed are still planning to kill the King of England, was Hedwig meant to be a test run for something?
I don't know. Anyway, there's no way this is the correct answer.
But
what
still,
if it
I
was?
love this. You have to admit some of these are really spicy. Right? Oh my god.
I shut my door behind me and fell to my knees next to my bed, my face still streaked with tears. Please, I begged God, please help me find a path forward. No matter how heinous her previous crime was, she did not deserve to be blamed for something she did not do. She had taken her vows as penance. What good was the monastery if she was yanked out of it before she could truly repent? Felt odd to be arguing in her favor. When she confessed to me that she was a killer, I nearly bolted then and there, but her punishment could not be the one meant for another. I pleaded under my breath for I don't know how long. Eventually I broke down into sobs, for I suspected that I did not deserve to be heard. I thought of all my various sins, my lechery and my lies. Who was I to advocate on behalf of anyone? I was being punished. I deserved it. I kicked the bundled sword under my bed, crawled onto the mattress, miserable and sodden, and fell asleep. I dreamed of those soldiers once again. This time they caught me quickly and dealt with me slowly. I was asleep before I hit the pillow, and once again I dreamed that I was being chased with pikes.
Well, I think that's where we gotta call it.
Yeah.
That I don't see how we can possibly do more in this episode. Hell yeah. Change of Guard is the next chapter. Holy shit. I feel like we've hit the point of the volume now where
Everything's happening.
where things are going to start dropping, and I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. Anyway, I hope you're all excited for more of this as we are. Oh, we'll see you all next time, everyone. Bye.
Peace.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.